Hello, my name is Taronda Richardson. I am a community activist, and I'm here today to catch up with two women who I greatly admire. I've had a journey that has afforded me the chance to cross paths with both of these young women in different capacities over the years. And so today I'm here because I want to catch up. I know of a number of projects and initiatives that you two have led in community. Some have helped me personally in my life. I've also witnessed and experienced the way you all have shown up for young people and women and families impacted by gun violence. So I'm here to have a conversation and to learn more about all of the amazing work you two are up to. And so without further ado, I want to introduce Miss Princess Titus and Miss Shakina Washington.
All right. Well, for those who are listening and watching now, I'm Princess Titus, one of the co-founders of Appetite for Change and Standard Edition Women. I have been serving the community of Twin Cities for about 30 years in the area of education, reentry, and health and food justice, which brings me to having to, consume a bitter cup of losing my son to gun violence 14 years into that work. And then now really wanting to focus on what can we do? What questions should we be asking? What spaces should we be leaning into? Forget what the data says, not really, but not letting that be a leading indicator of what's needed, really hearing what's needed from the community is what we've been doing with Standard Edition Women in Ramsey County in partnership with Healing Streets.
For sure. So I'm Shakina Washington. I have been doing community work almost since I've been here in the Twin Cities. I have been working with the schools in the beginning and St. Paul schools. Even though I lived in Minneapolis, I worked at St. Paul schools, primarily in their lunch program. And then after that, I started going to Summit Academy OIC, where I had gotten my certificate in being an administrative assistant, which is when I started to be able to be an office manager for the Network for Better Futures, where I also did reentry. And then even shortly after that, I started doing mentorship with high school girls, both at Henry High School and North High School. And I did that for about 10 years. And then just period on my own journey, I've been into like holistic health and being able to take care of the whole person, body, mind, spirit. And even in recent years, just factoring in how important it is to take care of your finances. I come from a big family and I have a big family. And so just kind of working with youth, just from being a babysitter with my grandmother at a very young age, and then assisting with the care of my siblings and then my own children over the years. And then also working at Appetite for Change for probably about 5 years. And then I started going off into something a little different and decided to go back to corporate America, where I was a closing agent, and I did that for about 5 years. And so now I've been doing Standard Edition Women. We've been doing that now for about 14 years, and I'm also a co-founder, and we are working with youth and families in Ramsey County who have been impacted by group and gun violence, and we're primarily assisting them with their process of trauma and grief.
Wonderful. I really appreciate getting to hear, some of the milestones for both of you, because it reminds me of how I met you all. I have a rich community in North Minneapolis. It's where we met at Cookie Cart many years ago. You brought a tiny little baby to this training, and that was the boldest thing I'd ever seen a woman do. She brought her baby here to work. And you were just the funniest, most welcoming spirit I had ever met. Being new to North Minneapolis, it made me feel good about my transition from Target Corporate, because I'm like, if these are the kind of people I'm going to meet in community, I'm with it. Right. And so that little baby is now a grown woman. I've literally watched both your children grow up and have had an opportunity to work with them in programming like Appetite for Change, where I led the youth training program. And we had some feats. You think about our Grow Foods project and the importance of helping young people bring forward a story about what it means to live in a food desert. Yeah. Hadn't been done before, We're like, how can we do that in a way that is meaningful and important? And we did it, hit it out of the park, viral, okay? And there's just been so many accomplishments, and I never would have thought, maybe even a year ago, both of you would be sitting in front of me helping me because I was in need due to some trauma and some things that I had went through in my own family. You know, as one like you all, I've always been a servant leader and given a lot to community. I never expected to be on the receiving end of help.
Right.
You two women took me to the wellness center, and we sat, and I got on that ground and I wept. I was in so much pain, and you all supported me. You stood shoulder to shoulder with me during one of the darkest phases of my life. And I haven't even gotten to tell you all how grateful I am that you all made space for me. You checked on me, and not just checked on me. I think about needing a little help. You know, I had 2 little ones I'm now responsible for. And I'm like, well, I think Miss Princess said if we ever want a meal, call her. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be too greedy. Maybe I'll just ask for a pizza. So I call you up and I say, I think today's the day. You mentioned we might be able to get a meal. Could you send us something? It would feel good. I don't have to cook. I got a lot going on. She said, what do you want? I'm like, a couple pizzas will be okay. Knowing that's not really who she is, right? And so she said, no, what do you want to eat? I'm like, so I can really pick what I would buy with my money? Well, can we get some brasa? And not only did we get brasa, we had salad, we had lemonade, we had dessert. It was a pretty hefty bill. But in that moment, I felt so good because you two know how I have shown up and given to community, and to know that you saw my need and were there for me. I've never experienced it. I've never needed to. And that really is just a day I'll never forget. That really, really touched me. You pulled up on me and we just had a conversation in the parking lot, leaning on a car. You just literally came and found me in community. And even then I knew of Standard Edition Women, but really it made me want to lean in more. You two are phenomenal women, and I want to now get a sense for what the gun violence and healing circles look like present day. I know I've done a little bit of work with you with healing groups around the pandemic and having to train young people remotely, which was a challenge. So I want to learn a little bit more about what both of you have been up to lately in community.
Whoo, girl, let's catch up. And I'm glad you shared what it looks like, because we can easily sit here and say, we're an organization and we do X, Y, and Z, and we can give you anything to eat. And we can make you feel uncomfortable to the point where you don't feel like coming back, or you feel as if your trauma is being stigmatized. And I'm happy that people can hear that that's not the energy we come with. That experience came from our gun violence trauma doula model that we've put together, that makes space for people to lead their own healing journey, but understanding that it is your grief journey of healing. That's your responsibility to steward. And what I was for you at that moment was a grounding piece. So that as the water covered your head and that tide came in and you thought it was going to wipe you out, I was just grounded to let you know that even as the water started to recede, that you felt like you were in the ocean, but I was grounded for you. And so our gun violence trauma doula model is what our 8 contractors are trained under, and they facilitate the circles. We have moment by moment is the name of our circle, because in the trauma that you go through, which you're not traumatized by everything, but that what happens in your body after adversity is what the trauma is. And it takes you on an emotional roller coaster. Why? Physiologically, because of the hormones. And so you have to take it moment by moment and checking in on yourself. And then with the young people, we do Saving Young Lives. We call it our Crash Out Diversion program. It's a little flyer. It's got rap. It's got questions. We're talking about, King Vine. Young people show up in spaces that are comfortable for them and safe for them, which might not be on that side or this side. And they come smelling like marijuana. Sometimes we meet them where they're at. We're not asking them, no judgment, because that's our motto. And they tell us what we need to implement for the younger generation, which is speak them life. And so if we're doing this week, March 6th, we're at Unity Unitarian Church from 5:30 till 7:30. And if you go on Eventbrite, you can see when the next events are. We want to know who's coming because we are keeping a safe space. The adults are in moment by moment, and the children 5 to 12 are in Speak Them Life. And so we're going to be doing creativity as the opposite of unlocking your trauma, because trauma takes away everything that creativity gives you. And so the young people will be doing the same thing. They'll be having that age appropriate conversation led by 2 young people, one who studied psychology, and both of them have lived experience around group and gun violence. So that's what the circles look like. It's a snack, light snack. We don't do cheese. We do some snacks, like some real food, but there's definitely going to be a fruit and a vegetable because that's a part of your healing journey too. Like, and if you're eating food that is high in sugar, processed food, like comfort food, then call it comfort food. And then eat to live. Like you're eating for different reasons. So we have that coming up, and we're doing that all year. And if you come to that event and do an evaluation, you get entered into a raffle for a 42-inch TV. So we're going to give away our next TV on March 15th. So if people could come out, and you don't have to be somebody who lost somebody to gun and group violence. You can be just a community member who's sick and tired of hearing of it. And you want to show up. You can be a nurse from a hospital who watches people come in. You can be the lady at the library. Like, we have to give people permission to process. And so that's our other motto of how we do it, because we're not teaching you to heal. We're not healing you. We can't help you do that. We can create a space that shifts the culture of all of this violence and then ignoring it being the norm, and give you permission to process. And Dr. Bravada Garrett Akinsanya says people don't need to be taught how to heal. They need to be given space where they can facilitate, and we believe you have to have somebody with you, that the Creator sends you 2 by 2.
I'm glad you touched on that, because I know there was one point I wasn't sure if the groups were for me, because I'm like, well, I didn't experience gun violence. I had something very traumatic happen, but it wasn't that specifically. And I did learn it's absolutely for me, and it's for the children too. You know, you really do serve all ages.
And how one would qualify, it doesn't have to be a loss of life for you to have been experienced gun violence without sharing your specific story. So for people who are listening, you heard gunshots outside your home. You're impacted by gun violence. You woke up and there was a bullet hole in your window. You're impacted by gun violence. You worked with a young person who one day you didn't see them anymore. You're impacted by group and gun violence.
Social media.
And so
you see things on there, you don't know what happened.
You all know the
What were you saying? I didn't hear you.
Social media, just scrolling social media sometimes. I know if you go on and you see something, may or may not be somebody you know, but maybe even a loved one, has been impacted.
And there's always a connection. 6 degrees of separation.
6 degrees
and what you said made me think about, 2013? A number of years ago, I had a bullet come this close to hitting me in the head at work on the job, where I'm there at Cookie Cart to be, a safe space for young people. And I really struggled. Sure. There was no board at the door bringing me flowers, checking on me to see what I needed. And I wished I had known of this type of resource at that point to really help me through it.
That's why we served you.
Yeah.
So notice how I didn't, and that's another thing we don't do. People aren't sitting in a circle sharing their losses and vicariously traumatizing other people. Notice I didn't say, I'm not going to tell your story. So if you're working with us, we're not going to tell your story. I may prompt you and remind you of your story because I hold it near and dear to my heart if you're comfortable sharing it with me. But I was able to remind you of the reason why you fit the qualifications of our program when we were able to serve you, because you have been impacted.
And how often is that our reality as Black women, healers, people in community? We go through so much. We just kind of file it away. Really traumatic things. Some people might get a Purple Heart for, and we just keep going.
Like file away?
We do. We file it away. Oh, that was 2 years ago. It's behind you. It's behind you. It doesn't matter anymore.
And the thing is that, so we'll file it away mentally, but your body is filing it away.
And the body keeps score, as we know.
It keeps score. Yes. So even if you're trying to ignore it or, repress it or suppress it or what have you, it doesn't mean that it's actually going away until you, find a way to address it, because just hearing firecrackers, can possibly put you right back into that type of situation, just because of the sound, and because the body doesn't forget. It does keep the score. Yeah. And we also have circles too. So we have those in-person circles, and we have those basically twice a month. And then we also have our virtual circles. We have our virtual circles on the third Saturday of every month as well, for people who may have a different work schedule, or maybe the time doesn't work for them for any other reason. Some people have their children in sports, different things like that. So they are invited to come and join us virtually on the third Saturday. And then, if weather permits, and we have to, like the last circle we had, because it looks like it was going to be like, -4. So we're also taking into consideration the people that we are servicing, because there's no age cutoff. So we have elders, and then we have littles as well. So we always make sure that we're looking ahead of time. We usually do like a communication a few days before, and we're looking at like, what's it going to be like for us to be able to show up and be able to take care of everyone properly as they are processing their trauma and their grief.
And could you tell people what they get? Like, okay, because I know when people used to be like, Princess, come to a healing circle, like last thing I wanted to be was like in the group with people who are talking about they lost their children. Like, this is my group. Like, so we understand that it's a challenge to come there. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about the services that people get after they enroll with us, if they feel like they want to continue to be in community.
Yeah. So we have a process, of course. And so you just have to make sure that you fit the criteria or what have you. But you definitely, after you come in, and then you do your intake and make sure that everything is okay, and we do your individual healing plan. So it's not an overall blanketed, healing plan. It's specifically for each individual. They give us, there's a list of questions, and they give us their feedback in the areas of like health, mental health and physical health, safety, what's your food like, what's your level of education, and then just like, future goals in terms of employment, different things like that. So after we do that, then they're eligible to get services. And right now we have two kinds. I guess we can call
what services?
We have procurement.
We've procured massage therapists.
Yeah, massage therapists. So we have some, someone that's on the north side of Minneapolis, and then we also have someone that's in Roseville. And as far as I know, like everybody's just raved about both of them. Some people have gone to both. Some people have only gone to one. But then I also, because I have someone that's a part of the people that I serve specifically, because we kind of split it, and just we do the individualized healing plan is an ongoing thing.
Okay.
Because you have goals and different things like that. So just checking in. And so I have someone who does have a TBI, and she likes water. She likes water better. She likes to walk around water. So the watershed is something that's offered. But right now, those two basic things, just the massages, or if someone doesn't feel comfortable with someone giving massage, it's really individualized. So it depends on what the person, if they know someone, we can always go to their people. But right now we do have those two services.
Okay.
So basically you could get like $150 invested into your grief journey of healing.
Right.
If you're managing your individual healing plan and coming to the circles.
Right.
So just a little bit of something to incentivize you investing in yourself.
Right.
And by investing in yourself, you stabilize that home where those children are. You not listening to your body and your sadness and your grief is violence. And so having violence continue to happen in that home escalates to be some of those root causes of group and gun violence.
I like that. I hear there's a personalization of the plan. And I hear that you walk side by side with clients, and there's a bit of accountability. So you don't just give me a lump sum up front and say, okay, go more. You really are checking in and making sure that milestones are being met and people are really staying on track. I have a question because, ladies, we've raised a lot of money in community. I look at each of us, and we know funding is the source of sustainability. I'm just curious, what does it take to run this sort of organization, and what does long-term sustainability look like? Because we want this to be around, this is your legacy. And so what kind of resources or support are you all looking for?
Well, we're looking for some support right now that can. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna do.
Were you gonna tell them we were at a $90,000 shortfall on our budget?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
We are. Well, we've been blessed
Yeah.
to be able to be funded by Ramsey County Healing Streets to do the grief circle part of the work.
Right.
Our work, all encompassing,
Yeah.
involves in transportation, the meals, the stabilization of a household after trauma has hit. We've been able to just meet people on the end that are being stabilized by Ramsey County's Healing Street and just do the grief circle, which works for us. But then when we have clients that are coming, or participants or community or family that are coming from outside of that referral system, I have to just say, okay, I'm gonna send you some food and it's just gonna come out of my pocket.
Right.
Because I'm eating, you should be eating too. And I know the provider will provide. We are looking for funding and looking to connect with donor advised funds or DAFs. We're also looking at connecting with some foundations and then having members of our board actually reach out to some of those foundations and send out some letters of LOIs or letters of interest to see who's going to help us meet this shortfall. But I feel like we'll make that money. We'll make that money. Guarantee you. So if anybody's interested, you can go to our website, which is SEWMN.org. That's SEW, like Standard Edition Women, MN, like Minnesota.org. And there's a donate button there. And you can see testimonies. I got a call or text message from a young lady the other day, and she was like, wow, a year ago today, like, y'all saved my life. And it brought me back to the moment. And because I'm so deep in my grief journey of healing, I'm not usually activated. Notice we don't say triggered because that's violence.
Right.
But I wasn't activated, but she remembered like about to harm herself when we arrived. And we stopped law enforcement from going in, and we got her some assistance. And then we just went skating. And then we just talked and we laughed, and she was able to enjoy laughter.
She got her home clean.
Right. That's when we were sending people in to clean the house, buy the food, get you stabilized. And she was like, life ain't been perfect since then, but shit, I can handle it, right? And so we put that. I always ask people, can we take your name out? We don't share people's names. We don't really share people's pictures. We also do some. Do you want to talk about the retreats that we do?
About retreats.
Yeah.
So. In the last, what has it been now? Like 3 years for sure. We've gone out to Osceola, Wisconsin, and we've done a retreat, overnight retreat there, really nice, and did some. It's not canoeing. Kayaking on the St. Croix. So fun. So gave permission to process. Just everybody there. You know, a lot of tears. It was part of the day was like a rainy day, but just really being able to join in community where we have other community workers, and then we have people who actually need the work, and we all need the work, quite honestly. So that's why it's really important to be in this and be so vested in it, because we're actually doing this together. We're on this healing journey together. So that was one, and then we went to Victoria, Minnesota, to Charleston Meadows. We did that last June. And that was just like one day, just kind of there through the day, from the morning to the afternoon. And same thing, we had some people from community. We had some people who actually needed the work. And that was probably not as many tears, but just like a lot of love, sound bowls, good food, just being in nature, because nature is like that thing. Actually, we went to Charleston Meadows. I forgot we went to Charleston Meadows twice, because we also went in October of 2023. I'm getting so confused with these years and stuff, because it's like, okay, it's 2025.
Well, you can just sum it up and say, over the past 3 years, we've done Healing the Healer retreats
a few times.
And
it's been so important. We get feedback, from the people who are doing the work, because it's a relief, and it's also recognition to say, hey, we know that you're impacted as well, and giving them an opportunity to be able to release as much as they possibly can, participate, and get the same love that they pour out to the community right back to them.
if I could add to that, because I want people to hear the piece, and this is what Standard Edition Women does a great job at finding that middle spot. She's saying we're working with community and we're working with people who need the work. So we're working with people who do the work and need the work. Usually when trauma happens, people need to be stabilized.
Right.
They don't know that. Are you going back to work? Are the children going back to school? Are you taking some time off? If you're taking time off, are you applying for welfare? Are you applying for food stamps? If you're on food stamps, are you getting your co-op discounts now? Who's doing the grocery shopping? Okay, who's helping you apply for a short-term disability, long-term disability? Who's helping you apply? Who's helping you apply for survivor's benefits? Are you safe? Do you need stabilization? Then and to let the family know what this is going to look like. Mom might be in her room or mom might be at the bar. Don't make that mean anything about you, but what this is going to look like. After people are stabilized, their first natural thing to do is to help someone else. And so we help women put on efforts. So you don't have to start a whole nonprofit if you want to have a balloon release or give away swimsuits or give away backpacks in memory of your loved one that's transitioned. We'll support that. And then after that, we put our development. So when we're working with Healer for the Healers, people have kind of tucked it away for that moment, like you said, and they're doing the thing. They're doing the work for the community to stop it. And we know that's way more grounded and effective when you've done the work on yourself. We created this model before Anthony, my son, transitioned. And then after he transitioned, we did it on ourselves for 6 years after we facilitated 3 pilots. And then we were ready to do the work because we needed it to work on ourselves.
This was a great conversation. It really was very eye-opening to really go in more detail about the ways you all have shown up for community, who's invited, the impact you want to make, ways that we can get involved and contribute. So I want to thank you for giving time today and allowing us to have this dialogue. I hope people feel more informed and can find ways to get involved and connect or support, because it's really a movement. And thank you all so much for ways you've shown up in community. Really, thank you.
So I'm hoping people can reach out to us, our website, SEWMN.org, or you can call us at 612-440-8488. We also hold a 24-hour call line. So somebody can call me at 3 o'clock in the morning and don't feel like you're waking me up. Look at me. I don't look like I'm missing no sleep. I'm built to be able to get up and get my cup of water and get my steps in while I listen. And then we can get you set up with some services to come to the Grief Circle or refer you out to other places. 612-440-8488. And if Standard Edition Women doesn't work for you, reach out to us to get some help on your grief journey of healing, or let us find you the right place. Standard Edition Women doesn't want you to go through the hardest thing you'll ever have to handle alone. Let us be here for you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yay.